Hey there, amigos. It's Bill McDonald, the reading and writing doctor. Today, we're going to work on another editing question that involves run-ons and fragments, problems with sentence boundaries, whether it's one sentence with a ROF, a run-on, or a fragment, run-on or a fragment, or sentences, sentence blank and blank, where one of them is a complete sentence, or and one of them is missing the subject or the predicate. So that's what we're going to practice today with a uh, question from my test, one of my online tests. As you see here, I want to remind you that whenever it's just what error change sentence, it's a CUPS question, capitalization, usage, punctuation, or spelling. But when it says question 2 or 3, we have to look for different kinds of mistakes. So then we're going to look at today is what is the correct best way to write sentences blank and blank. So that means that the first one is going to be a sentence. The second one would be a fragment, or that the first one would be a fragment, an incomplete thought, and the second one would be a sentence. And so what we're going to see here, I made a little uh, helper named Mrs. PVC. The acronym is Mrs. as in the opposite of Mr. and PVC as in a pipe. And you're going to notice that a lot of the things that are mentioned here in sentence boundaries in the editing passages and essays guideline is right here. Uh, you're going to look for a run-on, a fragment, a comma conjunction problem, repetition, content issues, meaning, uh, cause and effect, or compare and contrast errors. So that's what we'll look at. And I'm going to show you my little friend that I'm mentioning. Um, it's going to be, oh, I think I move things. Oh, there we go. Uh, where am I? I gotta find myself. Um, I got to share my screen. Let me share a portion of my screen. I think I can, there we go. Can do it that way. All right, so there you see, make sure you can see all of it. Um, so my friend's name is Mrs. PVC. And so we're going to help her. She's going to help us with the process of elimination. Uh, the M on her head, that her little crown above her head, did it change the meaning or is something missing? Then you eliminate it. So you look at her hair and you see lots of E's. Through her eyes, do you see repetition where the same thing is written twice? Or do you see a run-on? Her face is an S. Is the subject different or wrong? Is it specific to the content? The PVC, is the predicate different than it's supposed to be? Did it change the POV, the point of view? Is the verb tense, did it go from past to present and it shouldn't have? Is what is written too vague? Did it change the content? And of course, we cannot have sentence boundary problems with run-ons or fragments. So here we go. We will go ahead and read our sentence carefully. And capital, in case you have never noticed, we notice that that is a dependent clause. It's going to be subordinate to the independent clause that comes next. That's the opposite. If you've never noticed, capital, almost every single outdoor sport uses the same size and shape for its playing area. So I've got two ending punctuations. So normally you're going to typically change it to one without repeating. That will have a dependent clause followed by a comma and an independent clause and a period. So we'll go ahead and put our periods that are in all of them at the end like they're supposed to be. Then I want you to notice that one of them has another period. And so when you check and see that one, it says for its playing area. So we're going to notice that that is not a complete thought. So that means that it's not a sentence. It's a, it's something is missing in terms of the subject or the predicate. So we will knock that one out. Let me go ahead and I see another punctuation that I want to circle. This one is slowing the sentence down. This one is slowing the sentence down, yellow, and one more slowing the sentence down. All right, so let's see. Let's compare them one at a time and see which one corrects the sentences, because if you look and see here, when you're doing your highlighting of text, it will say the keywords correct way, and then it will say sentences as in plural. And so that means that your problem is either going to be a SAF or FAS, sentence and fragment, fragment and sentence. So let's take a look at each one individually so we can see. Capital A. In case you have never noticed, comma, almost every single outdoor sport using the same size and shape for its playing area, because that one changes the predicate, uses to using. That would be something that we would eliminate. So if you have your kids briefly write in paper on their paper, they can justify, sorry, that would be predicate, not fragment. Something wrong with the predicate there. Letter B, capital. In case, capital, in case you have never noticed, comma, almost every single outdoor sport uses the same size and shape, period, capital, for its playing area. If you don't pay attention to the punctuation, you would not notice that. But because we were verbally and kinesthetically connecting, we can see that that second part is a fragment. It means that it's missing the subject or the predicate. So we would cross off the part that makes the sentence or letter choice untrue. Letter C, capital. In case you have never noticed, comma, almost every single outdoor sport uses the same size and shape for its outdoor sport playing area. So if you noticed, I heard some repetition there. So what you can do on those is think of a sentence like a wall. And so if you have outdoor sport already written, and then you have outdoor sport written again, that's per Mrs. PVC's eyeballs. And so that means that the problem is that there is repetition. And so we can't select that one. So all we have is one left, so it's got to be right, hopefully. Capital, in case you have never noticed, comma, bouncing on the table, almost every single outdoor sport uses the same size and shape for its playing area, period. A longer pause. That one is correct, so that we can select that one and go ahead and use our mouse to pick it on the test. So your kids could simply and quickly draw some sort of little mini uh, Mrs. PVC, because lots of the mistakes have to do with something like that. So with the grade levels that work on dependent clauses, you would have to practice. And I'll just close by sharing and introducing something that's in my big binder. that will help you remember when and where to use a comma for introductory phrases or dependent clauses followed by independent clauses. To start with how, why, where, when, you often put a comma then. To start with how, why, where, meaning opposite or other, like this one, in case you hadn't heard the opposite of what they were saying, you often put a comma, put it correctly, comma, then your independent clause and a closing punctuation. So there you have it. That's how I would do that video. Have a blessed rest of your day and tune in for our next video lesson for the emergency room of extended responses, editing, and revising.